Namaskar, good evening and welcome to Sunset TV. I'm your host Kriti Mishra with the news, your one-stop destination for all that's happened across India and the world through the day, minus cacophony and noise. First up, the headlines this Monday evening. India and EU to set up Trade and Technology Council. Consensus reached after talks between Prime Minister Modi and European Commission President. Strategic partnership also reviewed. Raisina dialogue begins in New Delhi. EU President calls for convergence of the issue of security and trade. Says Russia-Ukraine war will also impact the future of Indo-Pacific region. PM Modi participated in the inaugural session. Central government banned 16 YouTube channels, including 6 Pakistani channels for spreading propaganda related to national security, foreign relations and public order. Vice President calls upon exporters to explore new markets. Says SEZ is an ideal platform for Make in India, local goes global and ease of doing business. EU announces $713 million in foreign military financing for Ukraine and 15 allied and partner countries. Russia's progress in Ukraine slowed down. America says Moscow is failing. Let's take a quick look at our flash news segment. Indian Railways intensifies efforts to transport coal to power plants across the country. Unnat Bharat Abhiyan 2.0 completes 4 years. It was launched for transformational change in rural development. Ministry of Civil Aviation organizes mega event Yog Prabha in Delhi. Government sets target to eliminate malaria by 2030, says Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia. Union Agriculture Ministry to launch Kisan Bhagidari Prathmikta Hamari campaign. Tamil Nadu Assembly adopts bill empowering the government to appoint vice chancellors to state universities. Supreme Court agrees to list pleas challenging Article 370 after summer vacation. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu asks exporters to explore global markets to sustain country's economic momentum. Iran says a recent round of talks with Saudi Arabia has been forward-looking and positive. Panic buying in Beijing stores amid COVID-19 lockdown fears. And our top focus now, the 7th edition of the Raisina Dialogue was launched in the capital today. President of the European Commission inaugurated the event and called for a peaceful and prosperous Indo-Pacific in her address. She said that the Indo-Pacific region must be free, open, interconnected, prosperous with a rules-based security architecture that serves all the interests. She further added that European Commission will continue to encourage Beijing to play its part in a peaceful and thriving Indo-Pacific region. The European Commission President also expressed concern on the Ukraine crisis and said Europe will make sure that Russia's unprovoked and unjustified aggression against Ukraine will be a strategic failure. She added the world's response to Russia's aggression will decide the future of both the international system and the global economy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was also present at the event.
For the European Union, strengthening and energizing its partnership with India is a priority in this upcoming decade. Both our economies thrive in a world of common rules and fair competition. And we share the same interests in safe trading routes, in seamless supply chains, and in a free and open Indo-Pacific.
The European Union has already articulated an Indo-Pacific and a connectivity strategy, respectively, that contributes to our convergence. Our climate action, digital, and other conversations are getting increasingly serious. And as we have heard, the EU is approaching global challenges with a much sharper strategic awareness. Indeed, these are the subjects of discussions at this very dialogue.
Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and European Commission President agreed to launch an EU-India Trade and Technology Council to address the challenges of ensuring trusted technology and security in the wake of rapid geopolitical changes. Both the leaders reviewed progress in the India-EU strategic partnership and agreed to deepen cooperation in the areas of climate change, digital technology and people-to-people ties. In a statement, the EU said the shared values and common interests of the European Union and India offer a strong basis to intensify mutually beneficial and deeper strategic cooperation. It said establishing the EU-India Council is a key step towards a strengthened strategic partnership for the benefit of all people in the EU and India.
आपके नेतृत्व में भारत और यूरोप के संबंधों को एक नई ऊंचाई मिल रही है, संपर्कों के नए क्षेत्र खुल रहे हैं और ये हमारा सहयोग और अधिक हमारे संबंधों को आगे बढ़ाएगा, ये मेरा पक्का विश्वास है.
We have a lot in common, but we are also facing a challenging political landscape. And therefore, I highly appreciate that this meeting here is possible today, and I'm very much looking forward to the Resina.
And the President of the European Commission also called on President Ramnath Kovind at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Speaking about trade and investment between India and EU, President Kovind pointed out that EU is India's largest trading partner in goods and also one of the most important sources of foreign direct investment. He added an India-EU free trade agreement would unlock the full potential of India-EU economic relations. And remembering Mahatma Gandhi's universal message of truth and non-violence, President of the European Commission paid respects to Mahatma Gandhi at Rajghat this morning. And moving on now, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu asked the exporters to explore new markets across the globe to sustain the country's economic momentum. The Vice President presented the Export Excellence Awards for the units located inside the Madras Exports Processing Zone in Chennai on Monday, in presence of Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Anupriya Singh Patel. Addressing the event, Vice President said these special economic zones are the ideal platforms for promoting the concepts of Make in India, local goes global, and ease of doing business. He noted that the country's merchandise exports reached a record figure of $418 billion last financial year. He also praised the industrial engineering ecosystem in Tamil Nadu.
There was a record achievement of $418 billion of merchandise exports in the just concluded 2021-22 financial year. Service exports were about $250 billion. Together, they make about $670 billion, a remarkable achievement in spite of pandemic.
And moving on now, the government has blocked 10 Indian and 6 Pakistan-based YouTube channels under the IT Rules 2021. According to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, these channels were spreading false, unverified information to create panic, incite communal disharmony and disturb public order. The viewership of these YouTube-based news channels was more than 68 crore. Apart from this, a Facebook account has also been banned. And in more news now, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin called on Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu in Chennai. Lok Sabha MP and leader of the party in Parliament, T.R. Balu, Minister of Tamil Nadu, Thirudurai Murugan, was also present on the occasion. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav participated in a program organized at Talkatora Stadium in New Delhi ahead of International Yoga Day. In this program, more than 50,000 post and postal department employees practiced yoga together at all the major places of the country. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari inaugurated 7 national highway projects worth 5,569 crore in Aurangabad district of Maharashtra. He said that the new highway projects would lead to development of region. He added that the traffic conditions in the city will be better and pollution will also be reduced. Union Minister Meenakshi Lekhi unveiled a wall art piece in Delhi to mark 30 years of diplomatic relations between India and Israel. She said that India's relations with Israel are very old and the cooperation between the two countries will continue like this in future as well. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan participated in the National Workshop on Innovative Agriculture organized by the Niti Aayog. Emphasizing on natural farming, He said that his government will support and encourage farmers for natural farming. In addition, farmers will also be given 900 rupees per month. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami participated in the convocation parade of 13th BRTC at Sashastra Seema Bal's Centralized Training Centre in Srinagar. Saluting the martyrs, he hailed the contribution of Sashastra Seema Bal. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann, along with Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, visited Delhi's Sarvodaya Bal Vidyalaya and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar School of Specialized Excellence, Kalka Ji. He also visited Mohalla Clinic in Chirag Enclave. Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Jairam Thakur inaugurated the State Media Centre at Himachal Bhavan in New Delhi. Speaking on the occasion, he described the step taken to implement Uniform Civil Code in Uttarakhand as a good initiative and indicated to implement it in the state. Now, after the hijab row, a new controversy has emerged in Karnataka schools. This time, it is related to the Holy Book Bible. The students of Clarence High School in Bengaluru have been allowed by the management to bring Bibles. This move has not gone well with some organizations and they have opposed it. In a joint operation, Gujarat ATS and Coast Guard have apprehended a boat from the international maritime border in Kutch. More than 200 kg heroin has been recovered from the boat, whose market price is about 1,439 crore. One accused has been arrested in this case. And Monday was again a very hot day for Delhi. The maximum temperature touched 41 degrees Celsius mark. However, cloudy sky towards evening gave much needed relief. According to the Met Department, Delhi and adjoining areas of Haryana and Rajasthan will witness dust storm in the next 24 hours. And in Uttarakhand, a unit of the Indian Army has started clearing snow from the entry road of Hemkund Sahib Temple in Chamoli district. Hemkund Sahib Temple will be open for devotees on May 22nd. Time for a short break. Lots more on the other side.
भारत लाखों बरस प्राचीन सभ्यता, जिसे घर के जयचंदो और मीर जाफरों ने गुलाम बनने पर किया मजबूर। देशभक्तों ने अपनी जान न्यौछावर करके भारत को करवाया आजाद और भारत को प्रेम करने वाले देश प्रेमियों ने किया नव भारत का निर्माण। नव भारत के निर्माता सिर्फ संसद टीवी पर।
Welcome back. You're watching the news. Now let's take a look at all the latest updates from the war front in Ukraine. Stations and the railway infrastructure have become a key target for Russian forces in Ukraine. Monday morning saw 5 stations in central and western Ukraine under fire. Meanwhile, America has pledged another tranche of military support to Ukraine. Take a look.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin met Ukrainian President Zelensky in Kiev. It was the highest-level American visit to the capital since Russia invaded in late February. The U.S. delegate said Russia has failed to achieve its aim.
In terms of Russia's war aims, Russia has already failed, and Ukraine has already succeeded because the principal aim that President Putin brought to this, in his own words, was to fully subsume Ukraine back into Russia, to take away its sovereignty and independence. And that has not happened and clearly will not happen.
Austin and Blinken announced a total of $713 million in foreign military financing for Ukraine and 15 allied and partner countries. According to experts, $322 million of the latest tranche of money is earmarked for Ukraine itself to allow the country to purchase necessary weapons to resupply its forces. Meanwhile, Russian military claimed that its long-range precision-guided missiles destroyed the refinery in Kremenchuk in central Ukraine and fuel depots there as well. He added that other strikes by long-range missiles overnight hit a concentration of troops and weapons and ammunition depots in the Kharkiv region. The Russian Defense Ministry also released footage of what it said was a destroyed fortified area of the armed forces of Ukraine. Bureau Report, Sunset TV.
And news from other parts of the world. And news from France now, where Emmanuel Macron has won France's presidential election, fending off a historic challenge from far-right candidate Marine Le Pen during Sunday's runoff vote. With the win, Macron has become the first French leader in 20 years to win a second term in office. In his victory speech, Macron vowed to heal rifts in a deeply divided country. Take a look at this report.
Emmanuel Macron has won 5 more years as France's president after a convincing victory over rival Marine Le Pen, who nevertheless secured the far-right's highest share of the vote yet.
Merci, chers amis.
Macron won by 58.55% to 41.45%, a greater margin than expected. He is the first sitting president in 20 years to be re-elected. Despite her loss, Le Pen 53 said her significant vote share still marked a victory. Macron and Le Pen advanced to the runoff after finishing in first and second place, respectively, among 12 candidates who ran in the first round on April 10th. Macron's supporters gathered on Champ de Mars in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower in central Paris, broke out in massive cheers when the news was announced. In his victory speech, French President Emmanuel Macron vowed to be the president for all. Thanking supporters, Macron said that his second term would not be a continuation of his first, committing to address all of the France's current problems.
Merci. Merci, chers amis. Chers compatriotes, ici à Paris et partout à travers le territoire, en hexagone, dans nos outre-mer, comme à l'étranger. Oui, avant toute chose, merci.
In a combative speech to supporters in Paris, in which she accepted the result but showed no sign of quitting politics, Marine Le Pen said she would never abandon the French and was already preparing for the June legislative elections.
Le Rassemblement national œuvrera à unir tous ceux d'où qu'ils viennent qui veulent se rassembler et rassembler leurs forces contre la politique d'Emmanuel Macron afin de présenter ou de soutenir des candidats partout et donc dans votre circonscription, en métropole, en Outre-mer et dans les circonscriptions de l'étranger.
While the contest was a rematch of the 2017 French presidential runoff, much of Europe watched the election with unease. More than 1 in 3 voters did not vote for either candidate. Turnout was just under 72%, the lowest in a presidential runoff since 1969, and more than 3 million people cast spoiled or blank votes. The result is narrower than the second round clash in 2017, when the same 2 candidates met in the runoff and Macron polled over 66% of the vote. Meanwhile, the 44-year-old president faces a litany of challenges in his second term, starting with parliamentary elections in June, where keeping a majority will be critical to ensuring he can realize his ambitions to reform France. In other update, several hundred demonstrators from ultra-left groups took to the streets in some French cities to protest Macron's re-election. Police used tear gas to disperse gatherings in Paris and the western city of Rennes.
And Prime Minister Modi on Monday congratulated French President Emmanuel Macron on his re-election. In a Twitter message, PM Modi said that he looked forward to continue working together with French President Emmanuel Macron to deepen the India-France strategic partnership. Macron comfortably won a second term on Sunday. The second 5-year term for the 44-year-old centrist spared France and Europe the seismic upheaval of having firebrand populist Marine Le Pen at the helm. And in other news from across the globe. Israeli tanks fired into southern Lebanon early Monday in response to a rocket fired from the country. The Lebanese army found some of the parts used during the rocket launch in a small orchard in southern Lebanon, but there was no immediate claim of responsibility. In a statement, the Israeli military said that the rocket landed in an open area in northern Israel early Monday, causing no damage or injuries. Iran says a recent round of talks with Saudi Arabia has been forward-looking and positive. Ranking security officials from both sides, as well as Iraqi and Omani officials, participated in the new talks in Baghdad. It was not immediately clear when the talks took place. The fourth round, however, of talks took place in September. Workers at Amazon's LDJ 5 Center in New York City have been holding a vote this week on joining a union. The votes are set to be counted on May 2nd. If successful, the vote will see employees joining the Amazon Labor Union. The demands of the workers are longer break, more time offs, an increase in hourly wages to $30 from $18. New Mexico governor has signed emergency declarations as 20 wildfires continue to burn in nearly half of state's drought-stricken 33 countries. One wildfire in northern New Mexico that started April 6th merged with a newer fire Saturday to form the largest blaze in the state, leading to widespread evacuations. Shanghai's COVID-19 lockdown misery dragged into a fourth week on Monday, a day after officials reported 51 new COVID deaths, the highest daily tally so far. In their battle to stamp out the virus, authorities in Shanghai said they would reserve the harshest restrictions for smaller areas around confirmed cases, raising hopes of some respite among the millions of people currently living in strictly quarantined neighborhoods. Blanket restrictions over large areas have fueled frustration and anger in Shanghai, a city of 25 million people. Let's now take you to a high-tech greenhouse in central London, which grows 250,000 plants for the city's royal parks. This year, the flowers grown in the nursery will be displayed for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. Take a look.
A glass house the size of a football pitch in central London. This is the Royal Parks nursery, where all the plants are grown and later planted in the royal parks of the capital. Hidden in Hyde Park, the nursery was renovated in 2018 for £5 million.
We grow around 400 different varieties of plants, so that ranges from everything from these pelargoniums, which will go in front of Buckingham Palace, to some more herbaceous type plants that will go to Richmond Park.
The nursery has 12 zones where similar types of plants are grouped. For this summer's production, roughly about 250,000 plants are being grown. They will be going out into the park in the next few weeks. Branded as high-tech by the Royal Parks, the nursery has its own weather station. Connected to a computer, weather changes can trigger the roof to automatically open and close. Humidity levels are also closely monitored.
If the sun comes out and the temperature rises in the glass houses, then the vents open in the roof and that drops the temperature. If it gets too sunny as well, we have screens that will go across to stop the plants from getting damaged by the strong sun.
This year, the nursery's biggest problem has been the exceptionally good British weather. The warm temperatures have accelerated the growth of most plants, which needs to be slowed down. By cutting their core branches, the plants are forced to become a lot more dense and will grow wide and low rather than tall and skinny. These geraniums started growing last September and will be transferred to the flower beds in front of the Buckingham Palace in early June, right after the Platinum Jubilee, which will celebrate the 70 years of reign of the Queen. Bureau Report, Sunset TV.
Now all the news from the sporting world. And starting with cricket, how would a king feel if all of a sudden his kingdom is lost and he wakes up to be a pauper? Exactly the way Mumbai Indians, 5 times champion of IPL, would be feeling these days. Absolutely nothing has gone right for them this season. They lost their 8th consecutive match on Sunday. Captain KL Rahul scored a century to help Lucknow Super Giants to a competitive 168 for 6. Mumbai started off well in the chase but lost track and ultimately the match by 36 runs. Mumbai Indians are yet to register their first victory this season. Moving to tennis now, Carlos Alcaraz eased past 8th seed and fellow Spaniard Pablo Busta 6-3, 6-2 to win the Barcelona Open. Alcaraz, who has now won 3 titles this season, has climbed up to 9th in the ATP rankings, making him the youngest player into the top 10 since Rafael Nadal, who achieved the feat exactly 17 years ago after also lifting his first Barcelona trophy. World number 1 Novak Djokovic's barren title spell in 2022 continued as he went down 6-2, 6-7, 6-0 to Russian Andrei Rublev in the Serbia Open final in Belgrade. Djokovic got off to a slow start as second seed Rublev broke him twice to clinch the opening set 6-2. Djokovic then raised his game in the second set to take the tiebreaker. In the final set, however, Rublev again got ahead, and this time he did not allow Djokovic to stage a comeback, taking his 11th career title. On to Formula One now. World champion Max Verstappen took maximum points from Formula One sprint weekend, leading a dominant Red Bull 1-2 on Sunday. Mexican Sergio Perez finished runner-up in the Grand Prix. Championship leader Leclerc fought back to 6th place after a late spin while running in 3rd. And Formula One champion Max Verstappen was named the 2022 Sportsman of the Year, while Olympic sprint champion Thomson Here bagged the top women's honour at the digital awards ceremony on Sunday. Verstappen became the first Dutch driver to win the World Championship after clinching his maiden crown. Jamaica's Thomson Here became the first woman to win back-to-back Olympic sprint doubles when she retained her 100-meter and 200-meter titles in Tokyo last year. And before we sign off, a relook at the headlines now. India and EU to set up Trade and Technology Council. Consensus reached after talks between Prime Minister Modi and European Commission President. Strategic partnership also reviewed. Raisina dialogue begins in New Delhi. EU President calls for convergence of issues of security and trade, says Russia-Ukraine war will also impact the future of Indo-Pacific region. PM Modi participated in the inaugural session. Central government banned 16 YouTube channels, including 6 Pakistani channels for spreading propaganda related to national security, foreign relations and public order. Vice President calls upon exporters to explore new markets, says SCZ is an ideal platform for Make in India, local goes global and ease of doing business. And US announces $713 million in foreign military financing for Ukraine and 15 allied and partner countries. Russia's progress in Ukraine slowed down. America says Moscow is failing. Well, that's all we had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sunset TV. Namaskar.